But let's go back now to the murder investigation into Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi. We're joined now by human rights lawyer Arsalan Iftikhar. He's live for us from Chicago. Mr. Iftikhar, always good to have you with us on Al-JAZEERA. So as we were reporting, Saudi's most senior prosecutor has arrived in Istanbul. To what extent do you think he'll actually fully cooperate with the investigation?
Well, Elizabeth, I think it's a little early in the game to be making any sort of analysis. I think as we move forward in this legal investigation, I think two things are very important. Number one is transparency. There needs to be transparency in terms of the legal process that these 15 or 18 men, these suspects, are going to face within Saudi Arabia. And number two, more importantly, actually, is accountability. These 15 or 18 men did not act alone. There were orders from up on high within the Saudi government. And so we really need to see, how high the chain of command goes and how willing the Saudi government is going to be to, essentially prosecute one of their top government officials. So I think these two things are really going to be quite telling in the coming days, weeks, and months.
When you talk about one of the top officials, who are you referring to? Because so far there's been talk about these, 18 individuals, the calls from Turkey to extradite them continue. But the reports are that the orders that these individuals were acting were from the highest authority, were from the Crown Prince. So who are we talking about here, and how likely is it that he will be implicated or will face punishment?
Well, I think that those are two separate and distinct questions, Elizabeth. He might be politically implicated, but at the end of the day, somebody lower within the royal court might actually fall on the sword, legally speaking. I think that's something important. In terms of extradition, I think that there is literally a 0% chance that these men will be extradited to Turkey. Under international law, most consulates and embassies, even though they are located geographically in foreign countries, are technically considered the soil of that country. And so this murder actually technically did take place on Saudi Arabian soil from an international legal perspective. So the extradition argument is not going to win. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see whether it's going to be an intelligence, high-ranking intelligence official in the Saudi government, or it's going to be one of, MBS's fellow royals who falls on the sword. But even though there might be a political implication, proving that he was the one who gave the order.
And while we, wait to find out what will happen as the investigation continues, there are more lines every day. The latest today is that the Saudi consul chief was in the same forest that investigators have been searching for Khashoggi's body the day before his murder. What do you make not just of the information, but the fact that the Turks continue to release damaging information about the Saudis? Potentially damaging.
Right. I think, Elizabeth, the important thing to keep in mind is that, it really, legally speaking, it really doesn't matter if they find Khashoggi's body or not. And the reason that I say this is that usually in a murder investigation, a body is usually needed in order to get DNA evidence, in order to implicate someone. The Saudis have already admitted that they killed him. So again, he is dead. He was murdered. He was murdered by Saudi nationals. So again, the body is really legally immaterial at this point. And so now the important thing is going to be who are the people that are going to be indicted, and then more importantly, is there going to be any command responsibility? Are they going to indict high-ranking officials, whether it's intelligence officials or members of the Crown family, in terms of what moving forward here in the legal recourse that we see in the days, weeks, and months to come?
Mr. Iftikhar, thank you as always for your time and your analysis. We do appreciate it. Arsalan Iftikhar live in Chicago. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth.